Have you ever just stopped and looked at the screen you're watching this on right now and wondered how we got here? You know, from a single glowing dot to these incredible high-res displays we have everywhere, it wasn't a straight line, let me tell you. It was a story full of clever hacks and brilliant solutions to some really tough problems. So, let's pull back the curtain and uncover the secret history of your screen. And just a quick note, this whole explainer is put together based on the fantastic research material from Dr. Sudheendra SK, and it's really geared towards teachers and educators. So, if you're looking for a clear way to break down the fundamentals of computer graphics, well, you've come to the right place. Okay, so it all starts with this puzzle. Take a look at the PDP-1 computer from way back in 1960. For text, for just typing things out, it used this noisy, clunky teletype printer. But it had this separate, super futuristic-looking round screen, just for graphics. So why the split? Why not just put everything on the screen? The answer to that question, well, it gets to the very heart of the biggest challenge in early computing. To solve that puzzle, we got to understand how these early screens even worked. At their core was this one amazing piece of tech, the cathode ray tube. And there were basically two competing ideas, two different ways to use it to make a picture. Okay, think of a CRT like a high-tech, super precise squirt gun. It's got an electron gun that shoots this focused beam of electrons. It hits a screen that's coated in phosphor, and wherever it hits, it glows. By using magnetic fields, you could aim that beam with pinpoint accuracy and light up any single dot you wanted. The question is, how do you go from a single dot to an actual picture? Well, this slide shows the two big ideas perfectly. On the left, you've got vector scanning. It's literally connect the dots. The electron beam just zips around, drawing the actual lines and shapes of your image, one after another. On the right, there's raster scanning. This is more like paint by numbers. Here, the beam sweeps across the entire screen, top to bottom, line by line, just turning on and off at the right spots to create a grid of pixels. Now, you'd think raster scanning would be the winner, right? It's so much more flexible. You can draw anything. But it had this one massive, almost impossible problem that forced engineers to get really, really creative. And that problem was memory. 4 kilobytes. That's it. That's all the working memory some of these pioneering computers had to play with. To give you some perspective, that is way, way less than the text in a single short email today. This tiny amount of memory created a huge, huge bottleneck. The math here, wow, it just tells the whole story. Let's say you had a tiny 200 by 200 pixel screen. That's 40,000 pixels. To store a simple black and white image, you'd need 5 kilobytes of memory. But wait, as we just saw, the entire computer only had 4 kilobytes. The image you wanted to draw literally required more memory than the computer's entire brain. It was impossible. So if you can't possibly afford to remember every single pixel, what do? You give up? No, you invent these absolutely brilliant workarounds. Engineers came up with two incredible hacks to get around this memory problem. The first big hack was character mode, and this explains why text was so much easier than graphics. See, the computer's precious memory wasn't wasted on storing the dot pattern for the letter A over and over again. Nope, it just stored the code for A and then passed off the hard work of actually drawing it to a totally separate piece of hardware. This whole system was just genius. The main computer just had to worry about a simple grid of codes. Then, a special font book built right into the graphics hardware would look up each code, find the little pixel pattern for it, and basically stamp it onto the screen. All of this happened without ever touching the computer's main memory. The second solution was to go back to that other drawing method, vector scanning. I mean, why store 40,000 pixels to draw a simple triangle when you could just store a tiny little recipe? Something like, move the beam here, draw a line to there, now draw another line over here. For anything made of lines, this was just unbelievably efficient. And this memory-saving trick is what made some legendary programs possible. We're talking about the very first video game, Space War, from 1962. It used vector graphics to draw its little spaceships and stars. And the revolutionary Sketchpad program, the granddaddy of all modern CAD software, it used vector commands to let engineers draw and move designs around in real time. Just incredible. So these hacks were brilliant, for sure, but they were still workarounds. The real revolution, the one that gave us the rich, detailed graphics we have today, well, that could only happen when the original problem, expensive memory, was finally solved for good. This quote just perfectly captures the huge shift in thinking that happened. Once memory got cheap enough, and we had lots of it, we could finally afford to set aside a big chunk of it to act as a direct,
one-to-one digital canvas for the screen. And that digital canvas has a name, the frame buffer.
The frame buffer, which you probably know today as VRAM or video RAM, it just changed everything. Now, the main computer could simply paint its image right into this dedicated block of memory. The graphics hardware's only job was to constantly read that memory MAC and just blast it onto the screen, redrawing it dozens of times every second. And this approach, which we call bitmapped graphics, gave programmers total control. Finally, every single pixel could be whatever color they wanted. This unlocked everything: complex photos, realistic images, subtle shading. The very ideas of resolution and color depth that we talk about all the time today were born right here with this breakthrough. So yeah, we've come a long, long way from electron guns and 4 kilobytes of RAM. But what's so fascinating is how these original, foundational ideas are still with us, hidden inside the very devices we use every single day. Take your sleek, modern LCD or OLED display. It doesn't have a cathode ray tube, of course, but guess what? It's still performing raster scanning. It's updating its massive grid of millions of pixels row by row from top to bottom 60 or maybe 120 times every single second. The core idea is exactly the same. And this right here, especially for all the educators watching, this is the key takeaway. You can draw a straight line from these historical concepts to today. Vector graphics, they live on in scalable logos and fonts, think SVGs. Raster graphics, that's our JPEGs and PNGs. That old character mode, it's the foundation of every command line terminal. And that old need to redraw the screen over and over, that's why we talk about 60 Hz or 120 Hz refresh rates on our monitors today. The past isn't just past, it's right here. All of these incredible innovations, they were all born out of solving one single massive constraint: a lack of memory. And that kind of pressure, it forces creativity. So the question I want to leave you with is this: what's the next great constraint? Is it power consumption? Is it bandwidth? Or is it something else entirely that's going to force the next generation of engineers to invent the future of our displays?